Hey everybody, Psychic Guy here. In today's video, we're going to be talking about how you can survive an IRS audit. Because I'm guessing most of you have probably already filed your taxes for 2022, and what's done is done. However, if you were to get audited for tax year 2022, there's a few things you should know. And how you deal with the IRS and answer their questions might make for a very smooth audit, or it might make for a very painful audit. So let's get started. You already know some of this. The IRS has hired 87,000 new agents. Now, what do you think they're going to do? They're investigating, and right at the top of their list, maybe not number 1 or 2, but it's in there, are the self-employed, gig workers. We're in that list. We're going to get looked at. And you know what our number 1 deduction is? It's the mileage deduction. Now, before I get too deep into this, for your automobile expenses, you should be claiming something. And the IRS will let you either deduct the actual automobile expenses, in other words, you save your receipts for everything that you buy, gas, tires, repairs, etc., or the IRS lets you just take the mileage deduction. You report all the miles that you drove for work, and you take a standard deduction for all those miles. And by the way, that's increased for this next year. It's now going to be 65.5 cents a mile. Here's a big thing that I bet you didn't know about your mileage deduction. As a gig worker, you are not allowed to claim your commuting miles. Now, what does that mean? You're not allowed to claim your commuting miles. I'm not going to work. I don't have a place of work. So as soon as I leave my driveway, I should be able to start claiming mileage, right? No, that is not the case. In fact, the IRS lays this out really strictly in their publication and the rules. Let's go over some of the rules. So in this example, which applies to, let's just say, a regular worker who's commuting to work, he's using the excuse that, oh, well, I sometimes, take some of my coworkers to work, or I have a business call, or I do a conference call on the way to work. So can I deduct that mileage? No, you can't deduct that mileage. That's commuting miles. Those are not deductible miles. Just like leaving your house and driving to the Amazon warehouse to pick up your packages, if you're an Amazon Flex driver, those mileage are not deductible. I should point out there is an exception to this. If you also take the home office deduction, then you can take the mileage from your house to your first point of business. But that's only if you're taking the home office deduction. And honestly, if you're taking the home office deduction, you better be made aware that that can be a red flag for an audit. So here's a better example of a gig worker situation. I have no place of work, and I don't take the home office deduction. So when am I allowed to start claiming my mileage? Well, according to the IRS, you're allowed to start claiming your mileage from the first business contact that you have. So think of yourself as a door dasher. You're allowed to start claiming mileage from your first pickup, not from when you get your first order, because technically, let's say you're sitting at home and you're waiting for an order to come in, and now you've got an order. That mileage from your house to, let's say, McDonald's, where your first order is, that's technically commuting miles, as the IRS would see it. You can't claim that mileage. So what I'm saying is, if you've already reported your mileage, you better know how to answer this question when the IRS asks you, how do you report your mileage? And the correct answer is, I start recording my mileage when I make my first pickup, and then I stop recording my mileage when I make my last drop-off, because that's what the law says. That's the mileage that you're allowed to claim. If you say something like, I turn on my mileage tracking when I get in my car and I turn it off when I get home, they could probably flag you for that and make you give some of that deduction back. You're not allowed to claim the miles from your house to your first pickup. It's that simple. So in closing, just remember, if your tax is already filed and you face an audit, it's important to know the law. Understand the home office deduction and understand the mileage deduction. When you are allowed to claim miles and when you are not. And the fact that you're not allowed to claim commuting miles is very important. And if you are going to take the home office deduction, you better read that publication as well, because there's a lot of tests that are specifically required to pass. For example, the exclusivity test. I don't take the home office deduction because I don't only do side gig guy in this room. This room is used for other things besides side gig guy. So I don't take the home office deduction. Little disclaimer at the end, I'm not a CPA, so don't consider this advice to be completely golden. If you have any questions, do your own research or talk to your own CPA. Thanks for watching. Side Gig Guy out.